People across Spain and Portugal have been hit by massive power cuts. Trains stopped, planes were grounded, and there was chaos on the roads as traffic lights failed. Internet and mobile phone networks are down. Shops and businesses were plunged into darkness, and there's been panic buying. Well, it isn't yet clear what has caused the blackouts, but a cyber attack appears to have been ruled out. This report from Ellie Price.
Restored in Spain following that massive electricity outage across the country and in neighbouring Portugal. The cause of the power outage is still under investigation this morning. Bloomberg's Spain bureau chief, Rodrigo Orihuela, joins me now. So we've had the update, Rodrigo. Thanks for standing by.
Hello everyone, welcome again to the channel. Thank you so much for watching my videos. And today we are going to be discussing about Kaspa versus blackouts. Now, due to the recent announcements about the blackout that has happening in Spain and Portugal, I think we can directly link this kind of scenario to what Kaspa is building. We know that the Dagnite protocol is one that is going to provide resistance to Kaspa against situations like this. Now, this was presented by Yonatan Sompolinsky in the Web3 festival. So I'll just try to reference some of the notes that were written by, Kaspa Media, and he said, something blew our minds. At the Web3 Festival Kaspa side event, Sompolinsky demonstrated how Dagnite, Kaspa's future consensus mechanism, will provide resistance to internet chaos. What is internet chaos? Let's say a portion of the global internet network was temporarily split across certain particular regions. Bitcoin and other single leader driven consensus models would be in major trouble. For example, Bitcoin's longest chain rule would greatly fracture as its nodes couldn't communicate in time to select the correct longer chain. As one can imagine, Bitcoin security would be null, would be zero. So many predict that quantum resistance is the biggest threat to Bitcoin and crypto as a whole. However, a significant hack to the internet's global infrastructure seems more urgent and realistic. Luckily, Kaspa is prepared. Now, Yonatan Sompolinsky illustrates with his opening slide on how to withstand a potential internet collapse. Now, we are going to listen to what Yonatan Sompolinsky said at the Web3 festival and how he talked about the possibility of this kind of situation happening. And it's not even a possibility right now because we can see evidence that there has been a blackout, there has been a cyber attack. And what if this happens and it takes a prolonged period of time and it becomes global? Let's say it happens and it happens at a wider scale. Now, this vision from Yonatan Sompolinsky is really, really important. Now, let's take a look at what he had to say.
So the world is becoming rather chaotic. I don't need to elaborate on the reality that you are all familiar with, regardless of your geographic location or geopolitical affiliation. And I started wondering whether there's some grounds to consider consensus systems, consensus engines that can withstand a chaotic world. Now, of course, if Homo sapiens destroy everything and we are all under nuclear fallout, at a certain level of apocalypse, this thought process won't lead us anywhere. We will all be hiding and transacting with monkeys. But there is room to think about a more realistic scenario where the internet is not as smooth, either due to actual cyber war, some kind of censorship, geopolitical fragmentation of geopolitical enforced fragmentation of the internet. There are many scenarios which come to mind where the internet won't be as predictable as we are accustomed to today. And my question, the question I asked is, okay, is it reasonable to talk about a consensus engine that can withstand such a chaotic environment? And when you can see here Blockstream is pushing now a satellite infrastructure for Bitcoin. You can witness more older Bitcoin talk, discussions of such manners. And this topic also begs a more philosophical and conceptual discussion about formal consensus versus protocol consensus. So the argument, so Neha at the time posted a poll that caught my attention, and the poll was basically what authority do we give to Bitcoin consensus in case something, some catastrophe happens and there's a reorg. So of course, we think Bitcoin is governed by the longest chain rule. But one can argue that the longest chain rule is only the default governing protocol of Bitcoin network. And if Bitcoin would suffer a net split larger than X blocks, that would no longer be the case. So let's talk in practical terms. So you see here, different people have different opinions as to when will the Bitcoin protocol fail to govern the system. I suppose most people will say after 6 blocks, the longest chain still holds, but maybe after, I think the vast majority of people would say, contrary to this poll, that after a year of blocks, there won't be a reorg. Meaning, even if the internet was split or some other manner the network was split, then still we would keep our version and violate the longest chain rule. Okay, what does anything of this have to do with Dagnite? So my argument is that the only consensus model that can enter the discussion about such a situation is the parameterless model of consensus. And this model means that you are not assuming in advance, you're not hard coding in advance any parameter to the code base. So technically, there are synchronous protocols. Most of the protocols that you are familiar with are synchronous, meaning there's either an explicit parameter in the protocol, hard-coded in the protocol, or an implicit one. In Bitcoin, the 10-minute parameter is implicitly injected into the protocol, into the difficulty adjustment. And in Kaspa today, there's the latency is explicitly represented through a parameter k. So these would be called technically in the academic literature, in the scientific literature, synchronous protocols. I argue that this, perhaps this is rather trivial, these protocols will not withstand any form of internet chaos, and even network hiccups, which last for temporary period of time, might break some of these protocols. Not GHOSTDAG, not the GHOSTDAG of Kaspa, but other more BFT-styled protocols. The strength of having no latency parameter hard-coded into the system is not only that the devs don't need to guess in advance the latency of the network. That's a minor convenience. But the major issue, the major benefit, rather, is that you get a system which is responsive to the network's latency. What does that mean? It means that if currently the network is smooth, you can confirm transactions much faster according to the current latency of the network. And then if the network is disrupted and there's some temporary or not chaos in the system, then you must wait a long time before you confirm transactions. All of this is manifested in this schematic graph. You can see and again, this is not pitching a certain solution yet. This is pitching a model. and this is the partially synchronous model of proof of work. Here, the main take-home message is, if you want to withstand internet chaos, then you have to satisfy the property that if the latency is low, the confirmation times are fast, and vice versa. And you have to the sort of twin property, or technically it's called maybe the parameterless security property, is that if the network, there's no bound after which the network is no longer secure. So in Bitcoin, if the network is latency is much longer than 10 minutes, or in Ethereum, if for some reason the network latency becomes much larger than 12 seconds, then everything falls apart. Some of these protocols can recover. Typically, you have to have proof of work in order to recover. So this is again a model. There's of course a more formal model, which I didn't prepare here. You can read it in the Dagnite paper. Okay, so the Dagnite protocol, which is a joint work of Michael Sutton here in the crowd and myself, is the first protocol that satisfies the following properties. And when Michael showed me the initial protocol, we thought this, we tried to solve something weaker, but when Michael showed me his brilliance in devising this protocol, we immediately understood that this solves something stronger. So the formal property is that this is a proof of work protocol that can withstand 50% up to 50% Byzantine fault tolerance without assuming anything on the latency of the network. Okay, so this, in comparison to Bitcoin and Kaspa, again, which do not satisfy this this property, Dagnite protocol satisfies it. We are working on implementing this and integrating this into Kaspa. It will take a while, but this is definitely the ultimate consensus protocol, and we won't back away from baking it into the consensus protocol of Kaspa with the hopes that the community accepts it.
The presentation from Yonatan Sompolinsky really explains everything. I don't even have to add anything, but I'll just leave the link to this video in the description down below. Don't forget to check it out. I think it is so valuable. Like, it is very, very important to understand what Kaspa is all about. Now, this is something that Yonatan Sompolinsky and Michael Sutton have envisioned way before even nobody in the crypto industry has even thought about. So let me know what you think about the Dagnite, and let me know what you think about Kaspa's resistance to these cyber attacks, global internet chaos and everything. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like, comment and share this video to as many people as you want. And it really helps spread the word about Kaspa. So see you in the next episode.